In this video, we're diving into another 100K a month update, my journey, my very slow journey to 100K a month, all the lessons I'm learning, what's working, what's not working, just showing you guys the journey to the top, right? Everyone likes to show their perfect life on Instagram and social media and flaunt and everything, but we're going to show you the real nitty-gritty stuff of how hard it is at times, and at least for me, all I have is my experience, so if it helps, then it helps. So the last time we did this, I think, was in November, which we ended with a good month, right? 26,000 in new cash generated, 35.8 in total cash collected. December was a big old goose egg. We collected no new cash. Many reasons. That was a very hard month emotionally, right? But our retention wasn't very good, and I hired a salesperson that did not work out. So that's salesperson number one that I hired and did not work out in December. So spent a lot of money giving them appointments. They couldn't close deals, and all of that equals bad numbers here. All right. So our show rate dropped as well. Like November is 60% show rate, 30% close rate across myself and the salesperson, which she took the majority of the sales calls there. And then in December, our show rate dropped to 44%, which our reoccurring is all we had, which we had like 14,000 in reoccurring revenue, and we still spent $6,000 in ads. So we took a big hit there. But up until that point, we were seeing a positive trend month over month. We were still focusing on SaaS here, transitioned to a higher ticket. In November, we had a 5x return on ad spend. So in December, we kind of went back to the drawing board, fired the salesperson, and then January, I took over back closing deals, and we closed 22,000 in front-end cash collected. Show rate got back up to 48%. Our close rate still wasn't that good. It was 20%, 6 new deals. Average cash collected was 3,600. Total cash collected was 37,500. I spent $5,500 on ads. As you can see here in January, I got a little more granular with the data I'm tracking. Always want to be getting better at tracking data. If you're not, you definitely need a sheet like this to keep you on track. Yeah, we need to be making decisions as founders, as CEOs, by the data. I'm becoming more and more convinced by that. It's just, as an emotional person myself, it's so easy to get distracted and get caught up in what's not working and over-exaggerating the problem. And it just throws you for a tailspin, and you can end up going down this deep, dark hole of depression. Okay, ask me how I know. So my cost per acquisition was $916. My return on ad spend was a 4x return. My cost per show was $189. We had a total of 240 leads. Cost per lead was $22. Our booked call rate was 36%. So 36% of those leads booked a call. Right? Our show rate is over here. 48% of those actually showed up. 20% closed. My cost per booked call was 63. So those are numbers I'm very happy with. Very, very happy with. And it just took me a lot. It took a lot of work. I had to do, let's see. The whole process of having 30 or 74 appointments on your schedule, it was just a grind because you're expecting these calls and then they don't show up, right? So that was one of the main things that was frustrating, is like, we're going from Facebook lead to booked call, pretty standard agency stuff, and it works. It's just a grind. And for me personally, I couldn't handle that. I got a kid. I actually have one kid on the way, due any time now. And that's just way too much work for me to do on my own. So I hired another salesperson. Super excited. This time it's going to work out. And I rushed into it. So I'm getting ahead of myself here as far as lessons learned. But once again, don't hire out of haste. Don't hire your sales out of haste. Don't be too quick to hire sales. Man, you really got to make sure that is just the right person. It is just a game changer of a person that can crush deals. They're trained up. Like, I'm never rushing into that again. I know it can be done, and I know I will do it in the future, but I'm certainly not going to rush into something like that again, because as you can see in February, our front end cash generated dropped. My new closer only closed one deal, which ended up being a flop. And I closed the rest of the deals. So we still ended up with 6 deals, but 5 or 5 of those were me closing, and then 4 of them were referrals. So that was absolutely amazing. So our numbers, spent $6K, only had a 2x return on ad spend, but the key here is we didn't sell PIFs in February, right? We didn't sell any paid in fulls. We just sold our reoccurring revenue. So we boosted our recurring revenue by at least 10K a month. So the next month we should have better recurring revenue, right? So per acquisition was $1,000. Okay, first call close rate was 15%. Total close rate was 28%. And that's mostly because my sales guy, mine was at like 80%. Referrals, it's not much to drag about. Referrals are great. But, we had 21 appointments showed. So my new guy that I hired just didn't cut it. Even after all the training. Ultimately, it's a numbers game, did not close the deals. Per booked call went up to $84, so that just fluctuates. My booked call rate went down a little bit. My cost per lead was the same. So what happened here was I actually lost one of my nurture specialists, which my nurture specialist team is the one who are calling leads on behalf of our doctors, scheduling them, qualifying them, getting them to show up, right? So I lost one of those. So I pulled my BDR, which works the leads for my agency. He's working all these leads, trying to turn them into booked calls. Had to pull him out of the game here and put him in the nurture specialist role. So that's why our booked call rate dropped by 10%. So all of the numbers, it all makes a difference, man. And having the stats, being able to see this and be able to interpret the data is huge. All right. So all along this journey, then you may be asking yourself, why aren't they doing SaaS anymore? Because that's really what I started focusing on for the last year and a half with gym owners, was just wanting to move towards a lower ticket item where it wasn't as involved and it didn't have so much responsibility with these higher paying clients, and the retention would supposedly be better with SaaS, but that just wasn't the case, right? So I think it's important to stick to something for a year at least, and that's what we did. And what we found, at least the way we were doing it, it still works. Like my buddy Trevor built an agency of over 100K a month doing that model as far as lead gen SaaS, like having UpX, which I'll do another video on this later, but I love UpX. I just think it should be used, at least the way we're using it now is just to save our internal team the time it takes to create new ads. So we just use it as an internal way to launch ads for our clients. We don't really do it the DIY anymore. And that's one of the main reasons we moved away from that, is because I found the retention rate was still the same. Because what I found is when you're promoting your SaaS as a lead generation SaaS, you're still going to have all of the same problems that you do with an SMMA, with a done-for-you service. You still have the same issues as far as, cool, now they have even more problems because they launched the ad, but then they don't know how to optimize the ads. They still have to turn off ads and launch new ones. But who would have thought they still don't even do that? So I found that people are lazy and people want done-for-you service, depending on the niche you're in. The other conclusion I made was that lead generation SaaS is not the best model for me. SaaS still works. It's great. I think you can have high retention if you're not positioning your SaaS as a lead generation tool. But if you're more positioning it as a way to maximize what you already have, like using the website chatbot, missed call text back, using all those other features like that, it will be something I focus on in the future. What we found with when you're positioning it as a lead generator software, that the clients just aren't going to do what they need to do. They're not going to manage the ads. They're not going to turn off the non-performers, and they're not going to launch new ads. So they're still going to have those same problems. And they're going to have the problems of not following up their leads, not following up with their leads effectively, not getting them to show up. So that's why we're not focusing on SaaS anymore. I wanted a high ticket. We're moving more towards, in this season, $2,500 a month, 30 clients, we good. All right. That's kind of the goal. That's what I'm looking for to focus on right now, moving forward. If I'm going to do the same work, which these SaaS clients still require the same amount of effort, especially in the first 30 to 60 days, it was crazy. And then they would cancel after 4 or 5 months, 3 months. So the retention was terrible. So I'm like, okay, I'm getting paid a fraction of the price and still dealing with the same problem. Lessons learned. I already mentioned this, but be hasty in hiring out sales. Like, this is the most important part of the business. You can't be too hasty when you're trying to get out of it. Like, for me, that's the pressure was there. I hated being on so many damn sales calls or people wasting my time. And I just hired someone, and that was the big failure. You should interview at least 20, 30 different people to find the right person before you hire this out. So that was my lesson learned. Hopefully you don't make the same mistake. Don't be in a rush to hire just anybody. Like, really follow your gut, follow your intuition. And if I would have followed my intuition, I would have just slowed down the sales and just continued doing it myself until I found the right person. All right. So you don't want to end up like this guy. This is a random image. I'm like, I just typed in CEO regretting hiring a salesperson. This is what came up. It looks kind of whack, but he's sad. So the next thing I learned, though, which is positive, is love your clients. Biblically, the scripture that comes to mind, or the central theme, or the idea that's from the Bible, from God, from the Lord, is to love your clients, right? It's easy to forget that in business when you're just focused on the numbers and you're just focused on making sales. How do I get clients? And you forget to actually love your clients. Now, what do I mean by that, right? I don't just mean some emotional, like positive emotional vibe towards your customers. It's not like you're going to go hug all your customers. It's actually something you can systematize. It's actually something you can operationalize. Love is something that is very practical, and that means exalting their needs above your own. In its simplistic form in this season, that's what the Lord has been speaking to me about, of like, what does all this matter if you're not truly loving? Instead of spending all of your time focusing on how to improve and optimize your own sales process for the agency, how about you take that time and invest it in your customer's funnel? How about you evaluate that every day? You spend some of your time as the CEO, go in there and tweak the automations. Like, maybe I should change this wording. Maybe I should add on to this follow-up sequence. Maybe I should, and I found ways to really drastically improve every aspect of our product, of our service, right? When it comes down to the automations, the AI, I found so many ways to improve and add value to our clients, to improve their funnel, like changing the landing pages, changing the headlines, just constantly deep diving and tweaking, making sure there's no little mistakes. Because if you've been an agency using high level for any time, you know that things can break. Leads cannot be going into high level and clients get mad. So that's what God's been speaking to me about, is just really focusing on improving the client experience, just making sure you have a damn good product, right? Making sure that your stuff is dialed in. So I just put like 80% of my energy over the last couple months into refining this. And sure enough, who would have thought you make a good product? People are going to want to tell other people about it. So that's something that's I'm focusing on. It's just referrals. Referrals are the best. How do we scale that? How do we continue to just get amazing results for our clients? Slow down the sales on the front end. Focus on crushing it for our clients and asking for referrals on a consistent basis. Because I don't need a ton of clients. I need 30, paying me $2,500 a month. That's $75,000 a month, right? I'm going to raise my prices to $3K soon. So, 30 at $3K, that's $90K a month. So less people for my team to service, but just do an absolutely amazing job crushing it for them, right? So that's what we're doing moving forward. I'm slowing down the sales. I'm going to create a video sales letter to create more friction. So to create more friction, meaning it's not so easy for people to just book a call. They have to go through the VSL first, watch the VSL, and then they get the opportunity to book a call, because I'm not wasting my time, because I'm just going to do the sales myself for now. My goal is to bring on 5 new clients a month, but only do like 10 calls a month instead of having like 70 people on my calendar. It's absurd. So I'm moving towards that whole dynamic of moving away from crazy guarantees and people doing business with me just because of a guarantee to value. So I'm going to start creating more value ads. I'm going to create more ads that are just content driven so that people can know, like, and trust me faster, and then want to do business with me because they see my results. So I'm slowing down to speed up, really. Slowing down to me means dialing in our nurture specialist team, which once again is our call center. I'm going all in on that. This is my sales team that absolutely crushes it for our doctors. They have over 10 years of dental experience. So if you do know people, I'm looking for basically like a setter. Got to have dental experience. and sales experience. Combine those, and we solve an amazing problem that doctors just don't know how to. They just don't know how to do it. The front office staff sucks at it. So we've taken that on, and we're seeing amazing results doing that, and we're going to continue to scale that. The other thing is, I'm not 100% sure I'm going to do this yet, but YouTube channel falls in line with the vision of creating more content that is value-oriented to just grease up the whole sales process, right? I mean, it's tough when you hop on with someone straight from a cold ad. They're just there to gather info. They're just there they don't know you, like you, or trust you. Their guard's up, and it's just not fun. It's just not a fun experience for me. I don't like it. Don't have time for it. Been doing this 5 years. I ain't got time to deal with people like that. So watch my video sales letter. If it makes sense from there, then you can hop on a call with me personally. All right, that's all I got. Like, comment, subscribe. If this is helpful, if you got any questions, comment below. See you on the next one.